Hi, welcome. My name is Vanessa. I'm the Chicago face artist. I'm doing a custom makeup lesson for a personal client of mine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each step. And then, for instance, we'll do like one eye, kind of like slow and methodical with the lesson, and then I'll kind of speed through the next eye, just to kind of keep the video a little bit more inclusive for someone who wants that really slow, detailed kind of part of the lesson. And then to keep it, kosher, we'll speed it up to make it a little bit more coherent for people who like a speedier video. But so really quickly, I did prime my skin. This isn't necessarily a makeup look that I would consistently do on myself. So I'm going to have to kind of tweak as I go, but I will explain what I directed the client to do for herself. And so what I like to do first and foremost is I like to get my hair out of the way. I did prime my skin. I'm going to be using different products than what I would normally use, so bear with me a bit. So one of the first steps I suggested for my client is to start with a base on the eyes. I'm going to be using an eyeshadow base. This is by Trish McAvoy. This is the Eye Base Essentials in Bare. But for my client, I directed her to use her concealer that she would normally use under her eyes as her eyeshadow base, because most concealers do a really great job at being an eyeshadow base. This I love. I've been using this specific eyeshadow base for ages. I think ever since Trish came out with it, which has been quite a good while. So you just want to make sure that you're applying that all over the lid, under the brow, all across the eye area. Okay, so we have a nice smooth canvas to begin with. Now, this I did not advise my client to do because she did not have the right product. And something about the concealer that she uses, the way the finish had on the eye area, I didn't feel that this was a requirement, but I always do this not first and foremost, but I always do this as my secondary step for eyes, is I use a matte shadow. You can also use like a pressed powder, a loose powder. Again, her products gave a really good finish that this was not a requirement. Her palette that she used was one of the Urban Decay Naked. It was like a mini and it was very mauve-y. So I tried to kind of dupe that with what I have. It's not quite the same, but it's close enough. And so the only thing that her eyeshadow palette did not have was a matte beginner shade. So I made it work with what she had. So again, all over the lid, under the brow. Next, what we did is we took a mauve shade similar to this, and we used a fluffy brush. So we're gonna get some of that color on the brush. I always say tap off the excess. And then what you wanna do is you wanna follow the shape of the eye, and you wanna really sculpt and shape and give a lift by doing a soft windshield wiper motion in the socket of the eye. So this is the socket, and when you apply your makeup, I always encourage that you be prepared to move your head around in different angles and degrees so that you can really get the best application. So windshield wiper motion back and forth. I like to come into the inner corner because we want to shape the whole eye. And then I kind of like to flake this out a little. Just elongates, lifts. And I notice how I'm in the socket and I'm coming up to meet the underside of the underside of the heightened part of the brow bone. The eye shape on everyone is different, so you might not need to come up as high, or it might not appear as high. Maybe yours appears even higher, so it's really about flowing with your bone shape and recognizing where the socket is. If you have, let's say an eye shape that's really hooded. You're going to want to go where that socket is, but it's kind of like masked with that hooded eye. So it varies upon person to person. Next, I'm going to take that same color and we're going to rim it under the meaty part of the lower lash line. So notice I'm not focusing that color too intentionally in the lash line. I'm really coming around to give that shadow, natural shadowed area even more shadow. And I like to do eyes first because if we get any kind of fallout, it's easy to kind of clean up and you don't have to go in and remove concealer, remove foundation, and restart everything. So this is my favorite way is to do eyes first. Next, what we're going to do is apply a darker shade on the outer edge of the lid, forming like a C. So, we're going to come into the socket here, and then we're going to come around to the lower lash line, just like so, creating a little C. And I'm going to be using this deeper, like amethyst type of shade here with the smaller end of my brush. And it's okay if it goes on imperfect because we're gonna kind of blend it out. But I do wanna put a little bit of that color right here on the, just within the parameters of that C on the lid. And then we're gonna come in with the fluffy end and we're gonna kind of smooth and blend. So it's always good to kind of take a step back, look at your progress, see if you have any little holes or gaps that need filling in or some kind of adjustment. And then come in and blend it out again. So now I advised my client that she can use a shimmer on the lid if she wants that pretty little emphasis. So she had a couple of shimmers, like a soft one and a deeper one. I'm gonna go ahead and take the softer one and apply it right here, just for demo purposes. You could leave this matte too. It's really pretty, just left alone and moving on to eyeliner. But so I'm gonna take this softer pinky shimmer here and apply that right kind of like in the inner corner of the lid. I'm not quite going to the very inner corner, but just like right from here to here. And then if you want to have some fun with it, like you're doing a nighttime look, and you can do this during the day too. I'm going to take that deeper kind of mauve-y shimmer, and I'm going to pat that on the, from like the center of the lid to the outer corner. So you can have some fun. You can just do the light pink across the lid. If you want more of a smoky look, you can do just this across the lid. You could do this all the way across the lid and shape with this. There's plenty of room for options with eyeshadow, and the point is to have fun. It's all about color placement, and shimmer is what you want to keep more so on the lid. She did have a softer shimmer that was cooler toned. It was not quite as like warm as this one, but this one, for instance, you can take your little dome end of the brush and you can pop that right in the underside of the brow or just in the arch to create a little lift, just to show you different options, things that you can do. You can also take that shade and pop it right here in the inner corner if you want that kind of bright-eyed look. Again, just options to kind of play with what you have available. You could do this little inner corner color here alone too. You can do that, you know, if you just want a soft, subtle little pop in the inner corner and you have the rest matte, you know, it's really, there's room for all kinds of fun. So next, I did go over tight lining with her. She had a really nice pencil liner that we used. I'm going to use this ColourPop cream gel liner in colored called Charmer. It's like a aubergine. When you tight line, you want to come in and apply your color to the underside of the top lash line. You can already see the difference of just a little bit done on this eye compared to this eye undone. So it does help shape the eye. It gives a really nice baseline of volume to the lash line. And when you do this, you kind of want to prepare yourself to tilt your head back. And you want to stay focused looking in the mirror as you lift the lid up and apply that color. I don't necessarily come all the way to the inner corner. I don't feel like it's necessary. And this takes some getting used to for some people because you're so close to the eyeball. It can be a little scary and this can tickle. But always tilt your head back. Pull the lid up with your finger. If you get a little bit of shadow on your finger, it's okay. You shouldn't get a whole lot coming off of the lid. So that's just a little trick. And then what we did for her is we used a liquid liner because she loves a liquid liner. We used it primarily like from, I want to say like about the start of the pupil. So you can see how my pupil's right there. We're going to come up. And then what you do is apply your liner from here, really thin along the lash line. And then we kind of built it up just a little bit. I'm actually going to use a powder to show this. So I'm going to use this brush. And I'm grabbing some of this like dark gray. And then what we did is we went again like from the start of the pupil on the lash line, nice thin line with her liquid liner. And then we did kind of bulk up the line right here to work with the shape of her eye. Okay. Ooh, itch. So you can see how subtly we just bulked it up right here.
My client does not, if I recall correctly, does not use an eyelash curler. I cannot not use an eyelash curler, so I'm going to curl my lashes really quick. But this is where she would just apply her mascara.
I like to come into the base of the lash line and really get that mascara in there nice, and then kind of pull through. Gives a good volume and length, and it really coats each lash. And then a lot of clients, I kind of swoop the mascara outwards because it just gives this beautiful shape to the eye while opening and lifting. See that? How it's kind of... Let me grab my hand mirror here so I can really see more. So with mascara, I like to do a couple of coats because I like a bolder lash. If you like more natural and like a just sophisticated kind of lash, then you would probably get away with one coat. And then of course, if you haven't seen my mascara review video, I did one recently on like luxury department store mascara brands. And I did like, I want to say 6 different types of mascara. I cover like some that are more natural, some that are more big and bold. And it's a quick video. It's up on YouTube. You just want to search thechicagofaceartist.com or the Chicago Face Artist, and it should pop up there. It's in the shorts. Yep. Now, I did get a little smudge here. I always say if you get a smudge of mascara anywhere, just let it dry before you go to remove it, and then it should just come off really easily. If you get it on the lid where you have shadow, let it dry, grab a Q-tip, and just flick it off. It should come right off. You shouldn't have to remove any shadow. So again, I have a little fallout here. I'm just gonna kind of wipe it away with my fingers. If you're doing a really bold, smoky eye, the fallout could be a lot worse. So you want to kind of use maybe Q-tips and a micellar water to remove that. So next, she does a tinted moisturizer. So I'm actually going to use my Armani Skin Tint. I use shade M4. I will tell you, the one that she used was really pretty. It was beautiful on her skin. I loved the consistency. I forget the name of it. I think it was like Dr. Jart. I don't know. I think. I love this Armani Skin Tint. I do have a sample of it, so it's not the full-fledged bottle, but it's really pretty. I love this product. So I'm going to use this all over to even the skin tone. You can just kind of spot treat. I like the Skin Tint by Armani because it's really pretty. It's really pliable. It's really thin and easy to work with. And you can see how it really evens the skin tone without like a lot of coverage. It's light. See that? Yeah, this is a newer product from Armani. I think they came out with it like last year. And it's really nice. The texture is really nice. It's not too moisturizing. It's not too, like some of them almost have like, not quite a grit, but like, some of the newer ones, like the Skin Tint serums, they have like the texture about them is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's not a really smooth application. Like I said, it almost has like a really soft kind of grit to it in a way. I don't know how to describe it. Where this is just really smooth. It's buildable if you want more coverage. Okay. And the one, like I said, the one she had was really nice for her. I'm sure that one was buildable as well. Always make sure that you get under your jaw and kind of blend it down. Next step was concealer. And when the interesting part about this is, keep in mind, we are doing a lesson where with this, when you're doing this application yourself, this was a quick, like 5-minute makeup application. So I want you to keep that in mind. Of course, I'm like showing you and I'm demonstrating and I'm talking as I go. So it's taking more time. But for a quick everyday, we were able to do this. This can be done very quickly in about 5 minutes. I would say about 5 to 8, depending on what level you're going with. So now for her, for concealer, we really focused the concealer on the inner corner. I'm using a cream. Hers is a little bit more of a liquid. So I think we might have used a brush to kind of blend it out. But you want to apply, you can also use your finger to blend it out. You want to focus on that inner corner. And then I like to kind of bring the color down a bit into the cheek because it helps just kind of smooth out that hollow. It just kind of helps keep everything harmonious. And then we can always use a little bit of brightness in the cheek because we often have more redness. And then I like to come out here and kind of create a lift. It also cleans up the eyeshadow. Look at how that changed the look of that eye. So, it's just nice. And then you're smoothing out like any of that color that's fallen. You're offering, you know, a little bit of brightness, smoothing the eye makeup up. And then as you notice, and I don't recall if I suggested this to my client, I don't think I did, but I do come down the side of the nose for myself because I like to eliminate some of that excess redness that's there. And it helps with my contoured nose look when I get to that level or to that point. Okay. And I usually dust a little excess there. And then if you want to go in and have a little bit more of that highlight contour kind of effect, you can take a little bit of that concealer and just kind of emphasize the front and center of the face. So forehead, down the bridge of the nose, into the Cupid's bow, and then just a little bit right here, just to kind of pull forward. Next, we did contour. She had a, I had her get a stick contour. I'm going to use my Saint Beauty, which is a cream. It's all a customizable compact series of makeup. I'm going to be using this detail brush where I think I had her blend with a brush or a sponge. But primarily when we do contour, you want to do some in the hairline. For like every day to day, you can really get away with just, I think, sculpting the cheek. But when you get into like more of an evening or a formal look, I would recommend going all along the hairline and the perimeter of the face. So perimeter is going to be like right under the jawline. This helps to shape jowls, any meatiness under the chin. And then, like I said, your cheek, you want to really hug the cheekbone, come up a little bit above that cheekbone so you're really shaping out that jaw. See how that shapes the face more. And of course, we're going to blend it, but just to give you an idea. And I like to hold my hair up and back as I go. I also have a weird issue with like hair touching my face. So I very much get it out of my way, especially when there's makeup involved. And you want to be sure when you're doing the hairline that you kind of push it up into the hairline, because it can look kind of funny if we have that paler area. So see how I came right underneath, hugging that cheekbone, and then came up? Okay. Now, for my client, I didn't do any nose contour, but I'm going to really quickly do it for myself. And then I'm going to pop a little bit right here. Okay. Then we want to blend everything. With her, again, we either used a brush or a sponge. I don't recall exactly which, but for me, I'm going to use this brush. And I just want to give a quick little sweeping through just to kind of soften the edges, blur out those color deviations. And then another important part is when we're doing under the jaw, and I didn't do it, you want to make sure that you come under the chin so that you're nice and even. And then I like to do a little in the hollow of the neck. It just creates a nice harmony because oftentimes our neck is much, much paler than our face and our décolleté. And that's just because our head umbrellas it from the sun. And you really want to make sure that it's harmonious somewhat in color. And you want to make sure that you don't over blend, which is an easy thing to do. Because over blending, you're basically just taking away what you just applied and all the work that you did. And then with nose, I like to kind of blend it out a bit there. Okay. Next we had blush. We're almost done. Next we had blush. I had her get this gorgeous mauve colored blush. It was like a rosy mauve. And it was just a really pretty color for her. And then we tapped a little bit of her lip shade was kind of like a sheer berry. Why can't I get this off? All right, I'm gonna play with that in a minute. But so I'm gonna use this because this is similar to her lip color. I am going to use the brush and just kind of tap in and get a little bit. For her, we just used fingers. And with blush placement, I like to come to the outer edge of the iris, so the colored part of the eye, come down, and that's where your blush should begin. Okay, so there. And then to create a lift, we're gonna sweep upwards towards the temple. And you're gonna come into the cheek a bit. And then I like to come up around towards the brow. So again, right under the outer edge of the iris. I do like, for me, I like to come up and get a little bit here because I have such a full cheek that when I smile in pictures, if I don't put blush here, it makes my cheek look like fuller. And again, that's not going to be for everybody, but certainly me. And you notice how this color was really dark. It's sheer. It has more moisture to it as far as a product goes. This is meant to be a lip and cheek color. So it's deceiving because it looks so dark, but then it goes on and it's nice and sheer. It is a buildable color. And I'm just using the softest little taps. And then for her lips, she liked to keep it really simple. So we would just apply a little bit of that lip color, like so. And then her lip color, we were actually able to pop a little bit just right here and kind of blend it out. And it gave this beautiful extra little pizzazz. I was going to do that with this shade, but I can't get it open. And I can't mess with it too much right now. So the only thing left was her brows, and her brows were a lot easier than mine because she had just such a beautiful brow shape. And she used a pencil and then a brow gel by Benefit. And so what I had her focus on is pretty standard to what I do just with different products. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're brushing the brow up and over. So we're getting a nice lift and we can see the shape of the brow. And then I'm going to use a powder, but what you want to do is really focus on creating a baseline. So we're going to come into the start of the brow here on the underside and just follow the natural shape. And it should be like a nice, smooth line. See that? There should be no question marks forming. Your brow should be a nice, there shouldn't be like these, swoops and things. If you need help in getting like a idea of what your brow shape should be with a brow sculpt, I do offer brow sculpting in my studio. See? It should have more of like a straight structure to it. within reason, of course, because our face has angles and shapes and things. So then what I like to do is kind of come in and blend that upwards into the brow. Gives us more color throughout the brow, so we don't have to do as much filling in. Notice how we're making this work for us in a lot of different ways. And then for her, she would just come in with her pencil and kind of fill in the blanks and then apply the brow gel in the same way we brush the hairs. I need a lot more work and I use a pen, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quickly. Notice how I'm moving my head to really get the different angles of light and dark and to really gauge where I need to fill in. I like to have a little bit of a hair-like stroke in the front, though I do like to keep it softer. See how nice and soft, but shaped. And then I do use my chin and my face a lot to kind of give some sturdiness. To liner and my brow pen and stuff like that. And then if you kind of goof up, you can come in and just smooth it away really quick. And then I like to come in and just kind of compare the two. They're always sisters, never twins. So they're never going to be identical. You can just do the best with what you have. Plus, it's nice to have a little bit of character. And then with my brow pen, sometimes it comes in and it's a little, like a little overly pigmented from what I'm looking for. So I'll come in and kind of tap the color just to soften it a bit. And then this is where I would do the brow gel. I'm using the Anastasia Brow Freeze. I do really like this. This is a great product. And then the brow pen I use is the NYX brow pen. I don't know the exact details, but I use the color taupe. See, nice, pretty. And again, the application for the eyes, that was primarily to really emphasize her eye shape and her work with her face shape. So it's going to be different for, not everybody, but for different eye shapes. It can vary, which is why it's really important to get a custom makeup lesson. If you're in the Chicagoland area and you're interested in getting something of that nature, if you have questions, concerns, I offer a wide variety of makeup lessons to really cater to what it is that you want. I offer lessons for teens that can be really minimal. So it's all about what you want, what you're seeking, how much time you want to use to apply your makeup. Again, I know this is a lengthy video, but you can get this done in 5 to 8 minutes, especially if you're just doing the basic steps. I do offer, like I said, a wide variety. I stay within your budget. I stay within your concerns, all things of that nature. And I really put into consideration what it is that you're looking for, what's going to work best for you. I do offer lessons with Saint Beauty. I offer them with Estee Lauder. I offer them at Bloomingdale's within the department store. I offer them with I even offer them with, if you prefer using, products that are in Ulta or Sephora or Nordstrom. I'm happy to work with you in pretty much any degree of what you're looking for. We all have our things that we want and need. And so I'm happy to work with you. And our first step in that process is to do a consultation so I can really gain knowledge in what it is that you're looking for and what's going to work best, and then I take it from there. So if you're confused and unsure, that's our first step. But if you have a special occasion, headshots, you want your makeup done, I'm your girl. I'm here for you. I just need a little bit of advance if you are wanting to come into my studio so that I can be out of work. If you are downtown, please come see me at Bloomingdale's, 900 North Michigan Avenue. I'd be happy to see you. And for those of you that do book the lessons, like this lovely client, thank you for your patience with me getting these videos done. It's been a little bit challenging as of late. I'm normally much quicker, but it is that time of year for me where things are kind of chaotic. I usually do them really quick. With makeup lessons, you do get a before and after photo. You get a hands-on makeup lesson where I talk to you and do half of the face. And I always encourage that you pay attention to the level of pressure I'm applying, how I'm applying it, where I'm applying it. And I'm even available to do a video of that lesson and kind of break it down and speed it up, or, make the video so it's not as lengthy as our lesson might be. And then so it's nice that you'll have that video, you get this video, you have your before and after photos. After I've done half of the face, I walk you through step by step on how to duplicate the other half on yourself, so you get that hands-on feel. And then you also get a face chart. And the face chart also includes, like, I do a little graphic of the eye and where the products go, how we're going to, enhance certain areas. So you have that visual, you have a lot of visual, and then you also get in the face chart, you get numerics of step-by-step application. So you get a lot to work with. And then even if you want to work with makeup that you already have and love, and I think and agree that it's great coloring and great products for you, like we did for this lovely lady. We just added a couple things to give her that really fresh, modern day look. And so, yes, so it's a beautiful opportunity to really feel confident in what you're doing and feel good about yourself. And I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. I really appreciate you being here, supporting me. And if you like any of the content that I'm offering, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.